Ain't it good to be back? I bet most of y'all thought I was dead. No, sirree. I just had to put my entire office back together. You know, my piano was out in the living room. My computer was out in the living room. I got a break. What can I say? And what a break it has been. As some of you guys may know, about 7 or 8 days ago, we were live streaming to about 450 of you beautiful people, and we were talking about a bird. I kid you not, we were talking about a bird. And in the middle of that live stream, we got taken down for violating YouTube's community guideline of harmful and dangerous content, because in the 21st century, talking about birds is harmful and dangerous, if you didn't know. Now you know. And thus we were suspended for 7 days, and we still, honestly, like, jokes aside, have literally no idea what triggered that, but we won't be live streaming anymore on YouTube because I don't really want to lose my business, you know? Just not something I want to do. And of course, in those 7 days that I was away, as you probably already know by now, one of the most important events in the history of Bitcoin happened. We crashed really hard. And it wasn't only Bitcoin. As you guys also will know, the stock market, oil prices, and pretty much everything around the world is crashing because of the news. We're going to be discussing all of that and more at the end of this video, and believe me guys, I've had the last 7 days to think about exactly what I wanted to put at the end of this video, so please watch until the end. I have something that all of you need to hear. But until then guys, we've got quite a bit of analysis to catch up on, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Damn, ain't it good to be back? So guys, let's quickly look at what just happened to Bitcoin. To be clear, Bitcoin's not dead. Bitcoin's probably doing better than the rest of the global economy right now, if I'm being totally honest with you. And there's a lot of bullish things that we need to talk about, but I just want to zoom in on this daily chart. You mean to tell me that Bitcoin fell 40% in one day, the day that I wasn't able to cover it? I'm not saying I'm mad. I'm not saying I'm salty. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm just like, really, of all days, literally, I mean, we've been doing YouTube for 2.5 years, YouTube. Literally any other point in time, you could have taken me down, and I would have been happier about it than that. Anyway, guys, Bitcoin fell over 40% in the span of about 48 hours, and luckily from there, I remember watching this. At one point, Bitcoin bounced 40% in 6 minutes. Those are minute candlesticks. I was in the first cohort watching all this happen live with our members, and one of our members, Kyle, said, I just made 50% in 3 seconds. You can ask Janice because she was there in the voice call with me. I was laughing for a solid 2 or 3 minutes because this man made 50% in 3 seconds. That's awesome. What's even more awesome than that is the fact that despite the rest of the global economy shutting down, shuddering to a halt. I mean, the things that have happened in the last 7 days, no joke, are very serious. The SPY is down 30%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 30%. Oil is continuing to crash. You guys may have noticed that gas prices are getting really low. That's because over the last month, oil is down 58%. But the thing that I'm really excited about, guys, is that despite the entire market, like everything just crashing like crazy, Bitcoin, of every market I have looked at, has had the biggest bounce. From our recent bottom over here on the 16th of March, we've rallied 56%. Show me another market that's done that. Show me one. I always said that if and when a recession or major financial crisis happens in this world, Bitcoin is going to crash along with it. I've always doubted the idea of Bitcoin just moonshotting while everyone else is losing their investments in the stock market and in real estate and everything. I've always doubted that we were immediately going to moonshot, but this is very encouraging. The fact that Bitcoin has actually been the one market to bounce and recover, people are going to take note of that. And when the news stops focusing on the news, they're going to be talking about this in a few months when this is all behind us. You can bet your bottom dollar that people are going to remember the fact that Bitcoin bounced like this. And by the way, I'm not saying that the bottom is in for Bitcoin. We might be going back down to sub $4,000, but there is not another market on planet Earth that I know of, a major market, that has bounced like that. Gold included. As you can see, over the last several days, gold has taken a nosedive. It's down 13% in the same time that Bitcoin is actually recovering. We're back up to $6,600, guys. That's actually not much lower than where we started. If you look at where we started before this major correction, we were only down 10%. That's not that bad considering the global economy is down by many, many times more than that. And guys, not only that, if you look at the oscillators down here, we're about to see a golden cross on the daily chart MACD, and the RSI is up at 44. We bottomed out down to 16. If that's not an oversold signal, I don't know what is. And to top it all off, guys, to the point of this video's title, Bitcoin just averted one of the biggest catastrophes that we could have seen In the history of Bitcoin, at least for now, and I'll get to that in just a second, Bitcoin, at the time of recording this video, has held the 200 weekly simple moving average sitting around $5,500. If you will go back to the last two videos I made before the channel got suspended, I said that if Bitcoin crashes, I could easily see it going down to $5,500, but I don't want it going lower than that because that's where the 200 weekly SMA is. Go back and watch those videos. I said it. And it just so happens that that is exactly where we bounced, exactly where I was thinking we were going to on the 200 weekly. That is an incredibly important moving average, and I'm very happy that we bounced there. Why is it important? Well, because it is the one level of support that in the entire history of Bitcoin has never once been breached. As you can see, we've only pulled back down to it twice in our entire history. If Bitcoin had have broken this in the exact same way that SPDR and the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average and all these other major indexes and ETFs and funds have broken their 200 weekly simple moving averages, Bitcoin would be in a much worse position than it is now. And it's actually a good thing that Bitcoin is such a small and consolidated market because much of the value that is in cryptocurrency doesn't seem to have left. Many of you guys that were in cryptocurrency are still in cryptocurrency and are not going to leave cryptocurrency. That's not the same fact for the stock market. And a lot of people have left the stock market because they believe that they need the cash right now, because they believe that the stock market is going to pull back even farther. And you know what? They're probably right. Bitcoin, at the time being, is very consolidated. We're very close together. We're very tight-knit because we don't have a lot of outside investment propping up our market. So we've actually been able to bounce quite a bit faster and quite a bit bigger than the rest of these markets, which, you know, is a good sign for us. And it's a good look for us also, which is very important. Because another thing that I and many other people have always said is that Bitcoin will not be mass adopted until people are given a very good reason to mass adopt it. We made an entire video on that about a week and a half ago. Until people are given a damn good reason to invest in Bitcoin as opposed to stock markets and opposed to gold and opposed to real estate, they're not going to, because most people don't understand Bitcoin, and most of the people that would mass adopt it to use it as a currency simply don't have a good enough reason to. Blockchain, decentralization, all of these things are well and good and they're great, but people are not going to switch from using a debit card to Bitcoin because of the fundamentals. They're going to switch because they have a good reason to. And if currencies continue to hyperinflate, like I think they're about to with all these billions of dollars of quantitative easing that have gone into effect in 7 days, imagine where we'll be in a month. A time like this is where Bitcoin gets to shine. So it's very important that we keep a close eye on Bitcoin. It's very important that we are staying in Bitcoin and staying informed in Bitcoin over the next few months as this plays out. But of course, guys, it would be unwise and irresponsible of me not to show you, the bearish points on Bitcoin as well, because there, of course, are some. One thing that's important to note is that we are below the 100 weekly simple moving average. As you can see, we didn't fall below it during the duration of this bull market, and when we fell below it right over here, Bitcoin fell off the metaphorical cliff. Another thing that I talked about, if Bitcoin falls below the 100 weekly simple moving average, we could expect a blood fall. That's what we saw happen, because when we fell below it, Bitcoin dropped at its peak 45%. I still don't understand people saying that technical analysis doesn't work. You're just wrong. I'm just saying, you're wrong. I'm sorry. Not sorry. It is also important to note, however, that our bullish MACD cross that we saw on the weekly chart about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, is now bearish. The MACD on the weekly chart is bearish, and we've seen that our RSIs pulled back to actually a pretty healthy territory around 32. We saw the same thing happen when we bottomed out the previous time on the 200 weekly simple moving average on the 10th of December 2018. What that means is that we are trying, technically speaking, to put a confirmed bottom in here on Bitcoin. The problem, of course, however, is that technicals aren't the only things that are important right now, and that leads me to the final point of today's video. A really bad thing has been happening in the world over the last couple of months, and I still don't know why the live stream got taken down, so I'm going to dodge the word that you all know I'm speaking of. Every market on the planet, basically every single one of them has taken a nosedive. My net worth along with Bitcoin has gone down at least 10%. The YouTube channel got suspended for literally the worst 7 days in the history of this channel that it could have been. And there's so many other crazy things that are happening in the world having to do with the economy, having to do with public health, having to do with so many things. There is obviously a lot to be worried about right now, and there is obviously a lot to be concerned about right now. It is simply irresponsible of us not to acknowledge those things and not to take them very, very seriously, because that's exactly what they are. They are very, very serious, and I think you all know that. The takeaway from all of this is not to just not be upset about what's going on. It's not to just ignore all of the pain that we and the rest of the world, unfortunately, are going through. It's not to just pretend that everything is okay, because things are not okay. They're not. The things that are happening around us in the world right now are very real, and they are very dangerous. And like I said, it is unwise to do anything less than admit that. But I think it's even less wise for that, acknowledging the fact of what is going on around us right now, I think it's even more unwise to let that be at the top of our priorities right now. What do I mean? I think it's in all of our best interests right now to focus on the long-term future and remember that the challenges that we're facing right now will come to their ultimate conclusion, and they will be beaten back, and we will overcome them because we've overcome so much worse and because we've decided that we will. There is nothing that humanity can't overcome if we all band together, united, and decide that we want it. And we want it badly. When this is all said and done, we're going to walk away on the other side of this stronger, braver, kinder, and hopefully with a better appreciation for our everyday lives than we have ever had before, because for once we start to understand what's at stake. If we choose to use these trying times as a learning experience rather than an opportunity to hoard toilet paper and Purell and backstab each other, if we instead decide to unify on this and come together, we can learn one of the most valuable lessons that has ever been learned in the history of humanity, and that is that love and unity will conquer anything if everybody is involved. In 1933, President Roosevelt was assuming office during the depths of the Great Depression. Our country had just gone through one of the greatest periods of growth, and people were spending far too much money. They were taking loans out. They were spending money on credit. Sound familiar? It does to me. And all of those unwise mistakes that we had made during the Roaring '20s had come back to bite us, and we were a few years into one of the biggest corrections in our economy in the history of America. And during that speech, then-to-be President Roosevelt said a few words that would far outlive him. What have we to fear but fear itself? It's a quote that seems to be going around quite a bit these days, and I think there's a very good reason for it. The reason for it is because, like I said, the only way that we're going to get through this is by remembering that we're all humans, we're all in this together, and at the end of the day, this impacts everyone. Calm, level-headed preparedness, and a big old possum grin on your face is what is going to see us through this, not toilet paper boarding. Good luck and Godspeed, everyone. I'll see you on the other side.
Oh, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling.